Hi everyone, we are going to do today a bit, I can say, a difficult topic in the terms of imagination that you will have to imagine because we do not come across this kind of landforms every time. So it is a kind of a topic because we live in a tropical region, most of us live, except you are living in the Himalayan regions where most of us live in the tropical, in the plain region, in the plateau region, so we do not see such kind of landforms. So the topic for today is the glacial landforms. That is the landforms formed due to the glaciation or the landforms which are formed due to ice. This kind of landforms are the result of moving of the ice downwards. Most of you must have seen Ice Age 1, 2, 3, whatever the part you must have been, you are familiar with the Ice Age movie. In the Ice Age movie, what did they show? They showed that entire continent or entire part of the world was covered under the snow. It was under the snow, and also we have done that during the Ice Age, the seawater is reduced. That is, it causes reduction in the level of an seawater. So there was an ice age once upon a time in the world. So it is not based on any kind of a fiction, but there was an ice age once upon a time in the world. This period when the most of the world, that is around entire temperate latitudes, were covered by ice, is known as an Pleistocene period. So the Pleistocene period, this is one fact you should know for the preliminary examination, that the Pleistocene period was the period of an ice age on the entire earth, or this was the period when the earth was covered under an ice. So during the Pleistocene period, as the earth was covered under the ice obviously moved because under the influence of a gravity. What did the ice do? Why did the ice move? Ice moved under the influence of gravity due to the sloping. It caused too much pressure on the land. Land tilted. There were many geological changes. There were some kind of a climatic changes also, but we are not concerned with this. We, as a general studies, we should know why does the ice move, what kind of a landform it does, and what it does to the surface. Now, if you open your atlas and see any of the higher latitudes means as you go towards the North Pole, how do we see? What do you see in the atlas? For example, I will draw a diagram of USA and the Canada region. What do we see here? There are numerous lakes you will see are present in this region, and these are the Great Lakes of North America. That is, the famous Niagara Falls. It is located on one of the Great Lakes. Where it is located, check out the preliminary special part of continents. We will be doing the preliminary special part of the continents also. So you can check out in this on which river, on where it is, between which lakes it is located. So you will see there are numerous of lakes here in this region. Same applies to the coast of Europe. If you see this coast of Europe, you will see that it is covered by numerous ice or numerous lakes. Now, why are there so much lakes present in the country that they can be seen even in the atlas? Open the place where you are living in India. Can you see a major lake? Or there, obviously, if you are living in an area where there is a lake, can you see that in the atlas? I guess no, unless you are living near the Chilka lake, unless you are living near the very big lake, but generally not seen in the atlas. And just use your imagination that how big these lakes will be and what causes these lakes. Now come to your refrigerator. In your refrigerator there are two kind of ice. One, the ice tray, the smooth ice which we put water and it is formed, and other, if the freeze does not have a defrost, you will see that there is some granular ice like thing, some feathery ice like thing which is formed inside the freezer. If you take that ice, if you put the force, obviously it will cause some kind of scratches on your skin. If you take ice and rub it on your skin, then till the time ice melts, it will form some kind of scratches on the skin. If the ice is too old, If the ice is too old, that means it is more solidified. The more solidified ice, if you are rubbing it on your skin, it will cause more and more scratches on the skin. Same thing, you apply it to the earth. The earth was covered by an ice during the period which is known as Pleistocene period. In this Pleistocene period, most of the temperate latitudes, because they were covered by ice, the ice moved over this earth's crust. Now the earth's crust, when it moving over the earth's crust, imagine if the freezer ice can be so powerful agent of erosion that it can scratch your skin. Don't try it. Just use your imagination. If it can cause scratching of your skin, the same thing, the hard, granular, very old ice will scratch the earth's surface. What do you mean by scratching the earth's surface? That means if the ice is moving over this earth's surface, it will cause scratches on the surface of the earth. And if it is causing scratches, what does it do? It removes, it erodes the top layer of the soil. It removes or erodes the rocks which come into contact with the soil, resulting into scratches on the surface of the earth. And whenever the ice will melt, this scratches got filled with water, because water got collected in this scratches, and therefore the lakes were formed in this region. So in the areas which experience Pleistocene glaciation period, what is the one kind of a topography? Formation of numerous kinds of lakes. Now, what are these lakes? Are these fluvial lakes or are these glaciated lakes? What topic are we doing? Glaciers. So, one of the chief characteristics of Pleistocene ice period, what is resulted into formation of, it resulted into glaciation and then formation of lakes on the surface of the earth. Now, which areas experienced glaciation was the higher latitudes. So, as a result, you can see the numerous higher latitudes, that is 60 degree north, 60 degree south, 70 degree north, 70 degree south. These are the higher latitudes. This experience the glaciation, and these all lakes are the glacial lakes. We will do it while doing the continents. This is just a background I gave you before we come to the topic. One question, if you are attempting this year's preliminary examination, even if you are not, you should, as a civil service candidate, try solving the past year questions. One of the previous questions, you will find that why there are numerous lakes in the North America or in the Sweden or in the Scandinavian countries or in the higher latitudes of Europe. You know the answer. That is the Pleistocene glaciation. You know these are glaciated lakes. Why they are there? Because of scratching of the surface of the earth. Now, after the Pleistocene glaciation, most of the ice on the earth got melted. But some of the major portions of the ice are still present on the surface of the earth. These major portions of the ice are known as ice caps. These are known as ice caps, and they are present in the two major ice caps are of Greenland and of Antarctica. So we have the two major ice caps in the Greenland region and in the Antarctica region. Now the presence of these ice caps in the Greenland and Antarctica, what do you mean by ice caps? This area is permafrost region, permanently under snow. This is covered under snow. So these are the two major ice caps. Otherwise, we do not have an ice caps at any other place in the world. These are the major ice caps anywhere in the world. But glaciation, that is the snow, is still present in the many parts of the world. Now these ice caps, when they come downwards under the influence of gravity, they break into ice shelf and then they break into iceberg. That we'll do later on. Now these ice caps which are present on the surface of the earth, these are the two areas. Now, is there any place on the earth where the ice is permanently present? Is ice present on the Mount Everest? Yes. Is ice present in the Kargil Dras sector for much of period of the year, or Leh Ladakh region for much period of the year, or one of the favorite spots which is accessible to each and everyone, Rohtang Pass, in much of the year? Rohtang Pass has ice in some specific parts of the year, that is during the winter. That means there are still areas where there is a snowfall, and when the snow comes down under the influence of a gravity, it is known as a glacier. So, though ice caps are not still present all over the world, but there are major areas in the world which experience glaciation. Now, the areas which experience snow throughout the year is known as a snow line. So, what is the next is a snow line. What is the concept of a snow line? The concept of a snow line is area where snow is the area where the snow is permanently found. That is, this shows that glaciation is still present in the areas of a snow line. Now, why are we studying this? Why are we discussing this about the snow line and by the ice caps? Ice caps are the permafrost region. In the areas of the snow line, in the areas where the snow line is present, that is in the areas of snow line, we experience the glaciation. Now, why are we discussing this? We are discussing to answer this specific question. Now, tell me, where is the snow line present? Is the snow present on the equator? Is the snow present on the temperate latitudes? Is the snow present in the Indian region? India comes in which region? Is it a tropical or temperate country? It is mostly a tropical country. We call India as a subtropical country because some parts come in the tropical region, that is between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. That is the two great circles. But if you go up, that is a temperate region. So, India the Tropic of Cancer exactly passes through India and divides it through half. Which states is present? One of the preliminary question can be asked, refer Indian geography, that the Tropic of Cancer passes through which of the following states. Okay. Now, why are we studying this? It is to answer that where is the snow present? Snow, is it confined only in the higher latitudes, or is it confined, or it can be found even in the equator? Is snow present in India in the latitudes, or is the snow present in India in the equatorial region? Which part of India experiences an equatorial type of a climate? Which part of India is to the south? That is away from the mainland, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. They experience a tropical type of a climate. Do they have a snow? No. But you remember, the snow line is present all over the world. It is found snow is even present on the equator. Why I am stressing on the equator? It is because equator is characterized by hot and humid climate. In the hot and humid climate, snow cannot exist. The tropics are characterized by heat throughout the year. In this climate, the snow cannot exist. The temperate region is characterized by cold summers, warm winters, not hot winters, warm winters. In this, the snow can exist at certain conditions, while the frigid zone, that is the topmost zone, the snow can exist throughout the year. But then how can the snow be present over the equator? This is because of the concept that of the atmosphere, that as you go up, the temperature decreases at the rate of 6.5 degrees Celsius for every kilometer. That is, as you are going up, the temperature on the surface of the earth is decreasing at the rate of 6.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer. Now, where on the surface of the earth you are going up? That is on the mountainous regions. So, we can see that higher the mountain, there are more chances of there being a snow. Because as you are going up, the Mount Himalayan regions, very high mountains. So as you are going up, the temperature is going on decreasing, and point comes where the temperature, where the snow can exist, that is the temperature drops below the freezing point, resulting into snow. So in the lower latitudes, temperature exists at an higher altitude. In lower latitudes, Which are the lower latitudes? If we look at the surface, if we divide the earth, equator, Tropic of Capricorn, Tropic of Cancer, 60 to 65 degrees, and the polar regions. So 0 degrees, 23 and a half, 66 and a half, south, 23 and a half, north, 66 and a half, north, and 90 degrees, 90 degrees. Now as you are going away from this, the equatorial region, the heat is decreasing and therefore the temperature is also decreasing. So in the above 66 and a half degree, the temperature the snow is found at a lower level. There is a snowfall. But at the equator, for snow to exist, the height of the mountain has to be very, very high, and then only the snow can exist. Why the snow can exist? Because the temperature decreases at the rate of 6.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer. So that is why we see that in our India also, or in most of the tropical region, the snow is found at a greater height, what we call as a snow-capped mountains. That is, only at the topmost height the snow is being formed. These are known as the snow-capped mountains. Such a snow-capped mountain is found even on the equator, and the example is Mount Kilimanjaro on the equator. So what we can deduce, or see, you can even deduce from one thing, you can even conclude one thing from it. Why do we visit hill stations, or why hill stations are cooler during the summer months? The same logic applies here. As you are going up, the temperature decreases at the rate of 6.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer, known as a normal lapse rate. So what is the normal lapse rate? Temperature decreases at the rate of 6.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer. So we can conclude that at 90 degrees in the poles, in the polar region, snow is found near the sea level. Take this as a 0 degree equator, take this as a 90 degree. So we can conclude that in the permanent snow line is found at near the sea level in the polar regions, but it is found at a certain height only in the equatorial regions. In the equatorial region, it is found on the Mount Kilimanjaro because the height is great and therefore it is covered by snow. So what is a permanent snow line? It is a line where the snow is permanently found. It is at sea level at the polar regions. At sea level in polar regions. It is at the sea level in the polar regions, but at the height of 17,000 feet at the equator. Therefore, Mount Kilimanjaro which country? Tanzania. Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania is a snow-capped mountain located on the equator. Is snow-capped mountain. It is an example of a snow-capped mountain which is located on the equator. Now, what you have to remember that it is snow-capped mountains located means it must be of a certain greater height. You remember that Mount Kilimanjaro is the highest mountain in the Africa. Mount Kilimanjaro is Africa's highest mountain. So Mount Kilimanjaro has a permanent snow line located on the equator. It is the highest mountain in the Africa. Now, what is the difference between the fresh snowfall and the old snow? See, whenever the snow falls in a region, it is actually a soft. You won't see that in the regions of snowfall, you won't see that suddenly people are carrying heavy sheets to protect them from the snow, because it is a soft snowfall. Actually, many people enjoy the snowfall also. In fact, the tourists go to the regions of a snowfall. But the snowfall, when it accumulates for over the long period of time, during the daytime, the snow melts, while during the night time, it again is refrozen. Daytime melting, refrozen. Melting, refrozen. This cycle continues, and therefore, in the end, a hard granular substance, a hard granular snow, a hard snow is formed. Such an hard substance, hard snow, is known as firn. That is neve. What is a neve? The melting of snow, of accumulated snow. Snow, why melting? Because during daytime, and it's refrozen and it's freezing during night time. What does it do? It results into formation of hard granular, again substance or a snow only it is not actually a substance, a hard granular snow, which is known as hard granular snow, known as neve in French language and firn in German language. And firn in German language. So what is a neve or firn? Hard granular snow is known as firn or neve. Is known as a firn or neve. Now, why it is formed? It is formed due to accumulation of the snow and freezing and melting of an snow. Freezing and melting of a snow results into formation of an hard granular substance known as a neve or French. This neve or firn, that is the hard granular snow which comes down, which accumulates obviously in the mountain regions, and then it comes down under the force of a gravity. Such a movement of neve or firn under the influence of a gravity is known as a glacier. What is a glacier? Glacier is a river of ice. Give me 2 minutes. This neve or firn in mountainous regions flows down under the influence of gravity such a river of ice is known as a glacier. Such a river of an ice is known as a glacier. So what is a glacier? The flow of an accumulated snow ice, same like a river. River originates in the uplands, even the glacier originates in the uplands, and unlike water, it is a snow of a hard granular substance, that is snow. Now when this glacier comes and enters the if this glacier comes and if it directly enters the water or the sea, we call such glaciers, this glacier originates from here and it breaks down and it sometimes enters the sea level. Such glaciers are then known as an icebergs. Now what do this glacier do? These glaciers bring large amount of sediments. When the snow is coming down, it is carrying large amount of sediments along with it. Unlike water, you cannot bend the snow. The snow cannot meander. The snow cannot take a bending path. Snow, because being a solid, it will come straight downwards. Because a solid cannot bend like an water. And this, even the unlike water here, the snow does not do any kind of a sorting. Whatever comes in its path, it comes down. You must have seen in the many movies, Vertical Limit. Recently, Nepal avalanche, that is the snow which comes down at a great speed. Like a flash flood, even avalanche comes down at a great speed and it takes everything. Sometimes it directly goes and enters the sea. In such coasts are known as fjord coast, where the mountains, glaciated mountains, directly enter the sea. Example of a Norwegian coast, an example of a Canadian coast, example of Chilean coast. That is in the higher latitudes, the mountains, when they directly enter the sea, the glacial valley, if it is directly entering the sea, it is known as a fjord coastline. We will do it later on. So, in these regions, when it enters the sea, they break into ice shelves and then they break into an icebergs. Why there is a saying known as a tip of an iceberg? What do you mean by tip of an iceberg or tip of something? That is, when we know very little of what is present, it is known as a tip of an iceberg. Why it is associated with the glacier? It is because the ice which floats, we can see only one part of the 9 parts which are visible. That is only 1/9 of the part. Is visible. Rest is where? Rest is under water. And therefore, the icebergs cause lot of accidents, lot of damage to the ships. They are one of the major cause of accidents to the shipping ways or to the navigation system. They are dangers to the navigation system because most of the iceberg is not visible. Only 1 out of the 9 parts are visible on the surface of the earth. And as a result of this, there is a saying known as a tip of an iceberg. Titanic accident, Okay. How is the shape of a glacier? Glacier is generally tongue shaped. That is, it is broadest at the behind, while when it comes down, it becomes tapering. So most of the glaciers are tongue shaped. That is, they are the broad at the back, while they narrow down the hill. If we have to look at a glacier, the glacier will have such kind of an structure. This will be the shape of an glacier. That is, they will be broad at the source of an glacier, while they will become narrow down the hill. So, why we are doing this? Because the question can be the shape of an glacier. They are broadest at source while they become narrow down the hill. They are broad at the source, they become narrow down the hill. Now, how is the movement of a glacier? Can I say why it become tongue shaped here? Or if you plant poles in the glacier at the source, if we plant the sticks here, we'll see the movement of the sticks will become somewhat like this. The movement of the sticks becomes somewhat like this. That initially I planted the sticks, then the central part of the stick went ahead comparing to the other part, then again the central part, went bit ahead compared to and in the end the central part is much ahead than the other parts. So the sticks which are planted here, they assume such kind of a shape at the end of a glacier. Why does it happen? Or what can we conclude from this diagram about the movement? Can I say that the movement of the glacier is maximum at the center of a glacier, while the movement of the glacier is slow on the sides? Can I say this? Or can we conclude from this? Yes. Then why is it so? It is because on the sides, because of the presence of this mountain system, there is a friction, while here in the center there is no friction, and because of the friction, the speed of a glacier here is reduced. The movement of the glacier is downwards this way. The speed of a glacier is reduced on the sides due to friction, while the central part assumes some maximum amount of speed, and therefore the sticks are having this shape, or we can say the tongue shape of a glacier is due to, or this protruding area is due to the maximum speed at the center. Remember the statement that maximum speed at the center is due to the that is, there is a maximum speed at the center on the glacier. Why? Because the sides are held back by the friction. So the movement of the glaciers, we can say that the movement of the glaciers, movement is fastest in the middle, while slowest on the sides, because the sides are held back by friction, by the force of an friction. What is the importance of a glacier? How much is the quantity of water available on the earth? Around 70% of the earth is covered by water. But can we drink the sea water? No. Only 2.5% of the world's water is, in that 70%, only 2.5% of the world's water is the fresh water. Rest of the water we cannot use. In that 2.5%, maximum amount of fresh water is locked in the glaciers of Greenland, Antarctica, or in the glaciers of the world. What is the source of river Ganga? Gangotri Glacier. What is the source of river Yamuna? Yamunotri Glacier. What is the source of river Indus? What is the source of river Brahmaputra? They all originate from the glaciers. So why are we studying glaciers? Because you remember, the glaciers are the largest reserves of fresh water in the world, not rivers, not any other thing. The glacier is the largest river of fresh water in the world. After glacier, again remember, it is not rivers but the underground water, which is the second largest reserves of fresh water in the world. So remember that the glaciers are the largest reserves of fresh water in the world. What is the quantity of a fresh water? 2.5% of the total world water in the world is a fresh water, out of which only 1% is available or is useful. Available for human consumption. That is why I use the water, preserve water, conserve water, use it without wastage. That is why sustainable use of water, because we are having only 1% for our consumption. That is, most of the fresh water is locked in the ice sheets, larger ice sheets, which is not available for human consumption. And if there is if we use this water, if we even exploit this water, there may be large scale changes, temperature related changes, climatic changes in the world. Now coming to the topic, that is the glaciated erosion. Or what are the different forms of an glacial erosion? The glacial erosion is by two methods. One method is by plucking, and the second method is by abrasion. Now again, how does the river work? Mostly by solution. How does the wind works? Mostly by deflation. How does the glacier works? Mostly by plucking. What do you mean by plucking? Ice moves, and if some loose material, if something comes in its way, the material gets uprooted. The material is plucked or torn away or taken away by the glacier. For example, if a glacier is coming and this is a tree, this glacier will take the tree along with it. If you are standing, if a human being standing, they will be taken along with it. The glacier. And the glacier does not do salting like river. It does not bend like a river. So all the materials which are there in the glacier, they get enclosed in the glacier. They get trapped inside the glacier, and the only chance of coming out for the material is when the glacier will melt. So what do you mean by plucking? Is pulling away or tearing away the rock particles or the materials. Blocks of rocks and drags them away. Now these rocks which are present in the glacier, this hard granular ice, they itself are the powerful tools of erosion, powerful tools of grinding. You remember that the glacier is one of the most powerful agent of an erosion. Why? Because these materials which are present which are there due to plucking, due to the speed of the glacier, the hard granular ice itself is high amount, is a powerful agent, is a powerful tool of erosion. And as a result, the next method, which is common in all three, that is the particles present in water when they when they come and erode the rock of a river beds, abrasion. Particles present in the sand come and erode the rock, sandblasting, abrasion. The particles present in the glacier, they come and scratch or erode the rock surface, abrasion. What does the abrasion do? Abrasion results into scratching. As I told you, why I took the lakes earlier. It is so that you understand by which process, by stratiation, by scratching. This is one of the most important characteristic of a glaciated topography, that all the glaciated topography are highly scratched or highly striated. That is the geography, one of the word for scratched. So if the question comes, stratiated topography, or scratched topography is a characteristic feature of which kind of a topography? You know the answer is glacier. What is the characteristic feature of a glaciated topography? Scratches on the surface resulting into formation of a lakes after melting away of the ice. Why these scratches are formed? Due to the process known as an abrasion. Due to the process known as an abrasion. So the glacier scratches polishes the glacier scratches, polishes, scrapes the valleys. The valleys. The valleys. So these are the two particles. How did? By the rock particles or by the eroded materials. By the eroded materials. So what are the characteristics of a glaciated topography? Or What are the characteristics of this glaciated topography? As I told you, the glaciated topography has two types of characteristics. One, the glaciated floors are scratched. The characteristics are scratched or striated surfaces. Scratched or striated surfaces, and these are one of the reasons for presence of numerous lakes. And the second is, now the glacier is not like wind carrying small particles, or nor like water where there is a limitation to carry the particles. It can carry the big particle if it comes in its way, like a house, like a tree, or even it can carry small particles. And when the glacier moves, the strong granular ice, the particles, they all rub into each other. Then as a result of this, the glaciated regions, due to erosion, they produce a certain kind of an topography, certain kind of an byproduct of a glaciated erosion is very, very fine particle, very, very fine rocks which get eroded, resulting into very fine material known as floor, or same like maida. What is a floor? That is maida. So the glaciated regions result into extremely highly eroded rock floor. Produces rock floor. So what is rock floor? Extremely finely grinded rock. Finely grinded rock debris is a rock floor. So this is the second characteristic of an glaciated topography. Now, because this is a heavy lecture, I will divide into two parts. The second part will be now the erosional landforms of glaciation, and the third part will be the depositional landforms of the glaciation. Okay. So here we have understood the basics of a glaciation. Now what you have to remember from the preliminary point of view is the glaciers are the largest, or from the exam point of view, any kind of an exam point of view, the glaciers are the largest source of fresh water in the world. Okay. Then second is glaciated topography shows scratching, shows polishing effect. Why they are scratched? Because the glacier is the most powerful agent of an erosion. Third, the glacier does not engage in sorting and resorting of the sediments. Fourth is that once upon a time, that is during the Pleistocene Ice Age, was the area of where the glaciations covered most of the areas of the temperate latitudes. Therefore, they shows the evidence of scratching. What are they? They are glaciated lakes today. Fifth is that the snow line is at the sea level near the poles, but as you go away from the poles, the height of an snow line increases. So in the lower latitude, snow line is found at an higher altitude. Equator is the lowest latitude, and therefore the snow line will be at the highest height. Which mountain on the equator exactly has a snow? It is the Mount Kilimanjaro. Which part? Tanzania. Now do your homework. We'll start with the part 2. Till that, look in the atlas, mark which part of the Africa, Eastern Africa, Western Africa, North Africa or South Africa. Just see where is exactly the Mount Tanzania located and also Mount Kenya located.